How would you assess the team's overall energy and effort today, especially on defense? Seemed a little bit like you guys were maybe a couple steps behind.
Um, I mean, when you get Sabrina up there with the ball like that, it drags the whole defense out. And I think we needed to kind of move over a little bit more and suck in and then get out. But we ended up getting into a lot of scrambles and rotations, and they're great shooters. So that hurt us on the 3-point line for sure. And then also JJ is really hard to stop in there when she gets super deep steals. So, like I said, we have to help each other. Like the guards have to get over screens better, and then also we have to help inside and do our like defensive scheme like we talk about. So I think just like sticking to the defensive scheme a little bit better.
Hey Marina, I was wondering, you talk about what we've seen from Sabrina Ionescu over the last few weeks without Sloot being in the lineup. Having them both on the court, they've been both great playmakers throughout this season. What does that do for you in your preparation on trying to eliminate one of them from just facilitating on the floor?
Yeah, like kind of like I said before about Sabrina and Sloot, obviously she's one of the best point guards in the league for years. So when they get downhill and they have a little bit of an advantage off the point of attack, it's really hard because they see the floor well and both of them score well too. And then especially Sabrina with the threes, like you have to come all the way out there and then it's an easier drive and so on. So, like I said, kind of just like being better at the point of attack. Kind of, they did everything.
Obviously, we're not into the second half of the season just yet, but it's going to be crucial for you guys in your push for the playoffs. Where do you see this team needing to pull from in order to find more success, close out late games? Like where can this team, what can this team tap into?
Yeah. I mean, just in general, like growth over time and having those practices during the Olympic break will really help. And then also just like everybody doing exactly what they're great at and kind of consistently doing that on a nightly basis so that we know what to expect from each other. But that takes time, through gelling and also just as a player figuring out what works for you in this league and what doesn't. And um everybody can kind of be a better version of themselves. So I think that works. And then also just like I said, kind of gelling together defensively a little bit more and just getting a lot of reps. Like this team is new, there's a lot of new pieces. So we need to kind of gel together and keep practicing.
Hey Marina, in addition to that, I mean, obviously today you had a great performance at the 3-point line. Would you say that the team's overall increasing the team's 3-point percentage is crucial to going into the second half of the season?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said to Annie earlier, like I'm a big advocate for threes. So I thought it was great. Mick came in and hit some threes. Dana hit a three. And then also just people being willing to take them and keep practicing them. And especially like our younger players who maybe aren't used to taking as many jump shots. Like, they have a ton of time to develop in this league. And, if you work on your shot and stuff, you're gonna get to make it. And, it drags the defense out. So just practicing and having that confidence. Okay. Thanks.
Micaela, first off, great game. Just looking at the stats real quick off the bench, you went 6 of 7. You were able to come in and give a spark on both ends of the floor. What is your mindset when you're kind of put into a game like this and kind of have to take on a bigger role suddenly? What's the mindset that keeps you ready to be able to do that at a moment's notice?
Well, I'm always ready. Obviously, every player wants to play. That's why we're here. We want to get minutes and contribute to the team, but that's not always the reality. And so when I wasn't playing as much, I just focused on being the best teammate I could be, but also staying prepared. I was always in the gym, coming early, keeping my same routine regardless of what was going on the court. That's really just my mindset all the time is I know what I bring to a team. I know my value. And, whether it's 2 minutes, whether it's 30 minutes, I'm always going to be ready.
Thank you.
When it comes to the second half of the season and just the push for the playoffs, what do you feel like this team still needs to tap into? Where do you think this team can pull from in order to close out these late games, and gain more momentum in the second half?
I think I can kind of stem a little bit from discipline. We're obviously a little bit of a young team. That comes with experience a little bit. Obviously New York is a great team, has played together for a little bit. So they're able to execute down the stretch. And there were at times where in periods where we just weren't as disciplined as we wanted to be. And so I think break will be a good time to be a little bit of a reset for us. Be able to kind of get that chemistry going. We'll have about 2 weeks to practice together with no games, and I think that'll be good for us.
This team this season has been pretty disciplined when it comes to defense. Today that wasn't necessarily the case. What do you feel like was the issue defensively today?
I think that, New York does a good job of moving the ball a lot, keeping us on our toes a little bit, and they shoot a lot of threes. So sometimes when we're closing out in those situations, kind of puts us into rotations and they're able to get open threes. That at times there was breakdowns in that way, but we can learn from this game and get better.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Good job, McMahon.
Open up questions for Coach. We'll start with Annie.
Just back to that defense question, when it comes to the discipline, what did you feel like was lacking today defensively?
Micaela was absolutely correct. It's the discipline part for us. And New York did a really good job of spreading us, and using their pick and roll situations and then kicking out and finding open 3-point shooters by having us to come in and help and then making us have to play, allowing them to play against closeouts. So we have to get better there, being able to control their pick and roll situations and then running 3-point shooters off the arc.
When it comes to Kennedy and uncharacteristic 16 minutes today, is she all good? It seemed like maybe she was just a little bit off, sick, something. How's she doing?
Kennedy's fine.
Okay.
Kennedy's fine.
And then last one for me. How much of a priority is it to add to this team's 3-point game in the second half of the season?
We have the ability. We just have to knock those shots down. It's one thing that we are very good in the paint. We're very good at mid-range. We don't shoot as many threes as everybody else do. So we try to do what our personnel is great at. And that's what we're great at. And we try to stay with that. I think everybody wants us to be like everybody else, but we want to be ourselves. We recognize how important 3-point shooting is. We do have people who are capable of knocking it down.
Coach, you talk about that identity and who you want to be. And a big part of that, I think, is the post game when it comes to trying to feed into the post and stuff like that. I thought the Liberty did, they were kind of all over you guys in the post, sending double, triple teams, just really denying the ball into there. What's kind of the counter to that going forward with the post game being so much of your offensive output?
Oh, it's very simple. It's super simple. The game is easy. If they're going to have one person in front, one person in the back, the ball has to be skipped. That's it. Plain simple. If they're going to load in that way, you allow the ball to find the open energy. That's it. That's the game. That's how the game is played. But heck, our team plays really dang hard. This team plays freaking hard. Take a look. How many free throws we get? Just take a look. We're freaking aggressive too. We're aggressive to the rim. You just said it. We play in the paint. We get 4 free throws? 1 in the second half? Okay, enough said.
Hey, Coach. We always talked about Micaela after the last game against the one of the most recent games, excuse me. Of course, you had a good game today, but what in particular about her addition to the rotation really kind of stands out to you and kind of makes her a unique piece for you?
I think it's been working, just like she said. She's been working and waiting for her name to be called. Her name was called today, and she's playing extremely, extremely well for us. And we were going to ride that. It's something that we know that Mick can do. She's very versatile. I've said this from the beginning of the season. She can play anywhere. She can do basically anything. A very strong body. We want to utilize that today. And she's defensively. She can go and rebound for us. It was just great to see her come out and play the way she did when her name was called. She stays ready.
Hey, Coach. Camila today was able to hold her own going up against JJ and came away with a very solid performance, including crashing the boards very relentlessly. Just wondering what your take was on her performance today.
Well, I was happy to see the ball going in and allowing our bigs to touch it. Camila's always able to make her own corrections, and she does it very well. It was good to see her touching the ball and being as aggressive as she could around the rim. I don't want to even go any further with that because I think she's pretty aggressive down there. Need some calls sometimes. She's strong doing her thing down there at the whistle blow.
Coach.
We saw Micaela go 2 for 2 from 3. I know you
Yeah.
said you don't want this team to be like everybody else. You guys are gonna succeed being like yourselves, but
Yeah.
how do you feel like she could potentially be an answer to this team's 3-point production in the second half of the
Yeah,
season?
I mean, you saw she took it without question. I always say, let it fly. You wide open. I'm actually standing there screaming, shoot, because she can. She can knock those down. It was big for us and big to see her with that level of confidence and playing that way. It was huge for us. Thank you. Appreciate you.